All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. So welcome. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today? Hey, buddy. I think you might be on mute. Just check your mic. There we go.
Hey, sorry about that. Good morning, Carlos. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Um,
Good.
how's everything this morning? Let's get into some of the market stuff. What do we have going on? Looks like we have a little bit of excitement towards the downside this morning.
Yeah, a couple things. So the SPY's down just over 3.5% right now. It's just the futures have just kind of been slowly cascading downward all night. But um, really, I think it's twofold. I think first of all, there was the White House coronavirus briefing yesterday toward the end of the day after the markets were closed. It was pretty in depth. It was 2 hours, and the president made some remarks, and he wasn't trying to scare people, but trying to be realistic in what's going on, and mentioned the number of possible deaths that will have upwards of a couple 100,000 in the United States, and that peak's going to occur in the next few weeks, and that talking about how the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be absolutely terrible, and that it's going to be one of the toughest things the country's ever gone through. So I think that has weighted things down to a degree. We've also obviously ended first quarter, so there was some rebalancing by funds and such that had to be done, and in their portfolios over the last week. That's come to an end. So now we're just kind of sitting. A lot of people have predicted a drop to at least retest the lows, if not go lower, which is fairly common in recessions.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in these big stock market declines, bear markets, whatever you want to call it. It's really common that you have this big first drop and then the market pulls back, and a lot of people think, okay, the worst is behind us. We're right back, how in good uptrend like we had been, and then all of a sudden the rug's pulled and it just drops way more than it did to begin with. So that very well may be the case. I'm not going to predict one way or the other. The only thing that I will say in this particular instance is there's a couple of things that make this different than any time before. So whether that has any impact, I don't know. But we've never really experienced anything like this in the past. If you look at 9/11 and the markets that came after that, obviously there was one specific incident. It was over. You scared people. Things
Mm-hmm.
changed.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't this long, drawn out process. Financial markets, it was something. It was bad actors in financial markets that caused financial markets to collapse. And you
Right.
can go
Right.
back through time. The 80s, say it was savings and loans and such. This is obviously a massive pandemic that is a mandated recession, a mandated
Mm-hmm.
shutdown, and we've just injected the largest stimulus package in the history of the world into it.
Yeah.
So there will be all kinds of ramifications. We don't know when this virus will end. It could be 3 years from now before they have a treatment, or you could turn on the TV this afternoon and they say, hey, we found something. What I do know is many thousands and thousands of the smartest people in the world and in the country are working on this right now to find an
Mm-hmm.
answer around the clock,
Yeah.
sacrificing their time, their lives, their health to help all of us. So maybe it's the optimist in me, but I tend to believe that American ingenuity that has gotten us through and really created a great country will have an impact on this that I think is hopefully better than many of us believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%, man. Again, it's something that it's like you said it perfectly there. Tomorrow it can be all cured, find a solution, or it can take forever. So that's going to determine a lot how this market is going to react. So it's something very unpredictable that we have not been through before. It's just you don't know when the next shoe is going to drop, and that's one of the things that causes a big uncertainty with the markets in this type of environment. And as you can see here, guys, looking at our gappers list, we have another decent sized list. A lot of it obviously red with the SPY down 3% this morning. You're going to have a lot of stocks following suit and gapping down. So we're going to do our usual stuff, guys. We're going to go over the ones that we have gapping up in the green. We'll go over all of those, and then we'll take the top 5 in our gap down here. We got some ones I haven't seen before. I know Hsbc, we have some news, so Norm will talk about that in a bit. And then we'll give it to the chat room, see what you guys have this morning that you like. I know there's some good ones on here that we've been watching very closely over the last couple of weeks, really. Delta Airlines, almost all airlines. Uber is one that we've been keeping an eye on as well. Space is back on here. We haven't seen Space in a while, so we'll get into that as well. But let's start with the top. Let's see what we got here. Let's get over into what's gapping up. We have SEMI this morning. This one is up 30%, they're almost 31% here. 842,000 shares traded. Flow is 16.9, so not a drastic low flow like a 5 million shares or 2.3, but for me this is still considered a low flow. So for those joining us, anything really under 20 million shares float, you want to be extra cautious with. That is what we consider a low flow stocks. Now, I have seen and we have traded stocks that are around that 15, 18 million shares float because they have a good trading daily chart. They have a good trading pattern, good pre-market activity. Those are ones that we can watch and possibly take some opportunities on here. Now, looking at this quickly, we do have a really nice pre-market activity starting off from 7 a.m. this morning. We got some volume coming in. Look at this great volume creating a beautiful pre-market activity at the moment. And so far, this looks good. We have a nice pop here, 31% off the daily chart. We don't have a lot of action into this area here. Very choppy with very little volume over the last couple of days. In April, they have been, I'm sorry, in March, they have been able to get some movements going here. A couple of nice green days, and you can see here nice big pop this morning. So we can definitely take a look at this one. Norm, any significant news causing this pop today?
Yeah, they've developed a COVID test that can be done within the doctor's office and results obtained within 15 minutes.
Okay. Yep. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Again, we have a lot of those companies. Everyone is, as Norm mentioned, working really aggressively to find solutions, find tests that can work faster, more accurate, and better. So we have another one of those companies this morning here today. Here we have SG. So this one at the moment gapping up 12% as well. Volume is a little bit lighter, only 107,000 shares traded. And the pre-market is not looking all that great. So I'm not sure what's causing this pop today, but just looking at this and knowing what we're going to find in our gap down list with stuff that has a lot of volume, I'm not inclined to add this to a list right now. It just doesn't look all that great. So I'm just going to skip right through it at this moment. Unless you have something great news on this that we should be watching it, I'm going to skip on to the next one.
No, they believe. I believe they build wireless hotspots and such. So they've got some surge in demand because of the number of people streaming at home and everything else. But like you said, the pre-market's not looking that great. It wasn't on here when I first started researching and working this morning. So unless it gets better, I wouldn't really pay a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, volume is, as you can see here, guys, very light at the moment. BP, as we know, we're going to skip this one. This is a foreign stock. Again, it's a company that does not trade here in the U.S. So we usually stay away from foreign stocks just to show you what that looks like. Look at the daily. It's just very choppy, very gappy. Again, it's not a great trade to have on your watch list. EQ and R. I don't think we have.
For the record, yeah, and so we can skip EQ and R, BTI, TSM. All those are foreign as well, and they're not going to trade well. So, and this isn't something because we have an issue or don't like other countries. A lot of it has to do with foreign exchange and time differences, and these will pop up on gappers because of some change, and then they just don't really trade well when they're listed on American markets. You can see the gaps and the difference in the chart.
Yeah. And one of the things you find on it as well is how light the volume is on a lot of these stocks. Look, on average, this one here is trading usually less than 3 million shares for the entire day. Today, you got, the last couple of days, you do have some action on it, hitting almost 5.9 million shares. But the activity is also lighter on these type of stocks. Another reason why we keep away from these. All right, guys, that's really makes up our gapping up stocks. Again, not much great that's looking there. Let's get down to what's really gapping down this morning. We got some really big numbers here. SGBX, this one is gapping down huge, guys. This one is down 38%, 930,000 shares trade. So that's quite a bit of a volume there. We had a big day yesterday. Now, what kind of stock is this? SG Blocks. I'm not aware.
Yeah, so this is a nano float. We've got way less than 1 million shares. Trade Ideas has under 300,000, just under 300,000. FinViz has less than 100,000 share float.
Wow.
These guys build buildings out of modular containers. They are going to be building, they announced a while back, they're going to be building medical units out of these modular containers. Their stock got a pop, and now they've announced last night or this morning a secondary offering of stock to raise capital. So
Yeah. Again, this number here is very scary, guys. 294,000. I mean, that's a very, very, very low flow. It could just tell you anybody can come here with a big order and really get this moving one way or the other. They had a big day yesterday, right? A nice green day here. Ended up went from $4 all the way to 9.5. They're down a bit today, down 34%. Could be a possible rally. So don't take this into, oh, this is going to be a short, and I'm just going to short the hell out of it.
this
You
was
know,
less than a 50-cent stock
yeah,
in last month, just,
yeah,
or
yeah,
I guess it's April now, so a month before last.
yeah,
Keep
yeah.
that in perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So again, guys, we'll stay away from something like this. It's just the risk on something like that is brutal. And keep in mind, some people think, well, I just put a hard stop. Well, if it blows by your stop, which can happen, you could be
Doesn't
in a
matter.
pretty bad situation. So again, in a stock like this, that the likelihood of that happening is a lot higher than any other regular stock where you have a lot of liquidity, when you're not going to get that type of movement and action. So again, don't think that putting a hard stop is the be all and all. You can still be in find yourself in a very crappy situation. Let's look at HSBC. They are dropping down big today, 9.4 this morning. There's definitely news on it. 133,000 shares traded. Pre-market's not looking all that great, but that's okay. This stock is one that doesn't. This is a banking
That's a
stock.
foreign bank. You don't
Yeah.
want to, that's another, it goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't trade very well. Not a great pre-market activity. I know they were on the news in regards to not providing dividends. I think they're canceling, which a lot of companies are doing that now, given the situation. So let's head down over to TLRY, another one that I don't really like to trade. How did it do yesterday? I took it off my list yesterday. Let's take a look on how they actually traded. Yeah, it's just very, very nice pop here, actually. Again, we had a lot of stocks that did this. We took advantage of CCL. We'll look into that one as well, because that has been the stock to really watch in these couple of days. So had a nice pop yesterday, very similar to a lot of stocks did with the rally that the SPY did right at the open. So again, nothing specific to TLRY here, but this is a stock, guys, that again just doesn't trade all that clean. So I usually try to stay away from this one. Today they're down 8.1, 176,000 shares traded. Pre-market's not looking all that great. So again, nothing exciting that I'm seeing for TLRY this morning. Now let's look at RCL. We'll do a few more. RCL, again, down a bit here. I prefer to watch CCL. I think CCL out of these cruise lines, and we have one here, I thought I saw another one here as well, but maybe not. Let's look at CCL. I'm definitely adding this one to my list. Again, look at the volume on this one. Look at the activities. It's definitely one that has been pretty fun to trade. Peter and I traded this one yesterday. He got in. I got in a few minutes before him after the halt, and we were talking over during lunchtime, and he had an amazing trade. And you got to see his exit. I'm not sure if he shared that with you guys in the afternoon when he comes on the mic, but his exit was just perfect, timing the top lovely. So again, I think CCO has been one giving us some really good opportunity, guys. Again, they're down here with the market as well. Definitely one to watch. They were down big yesterday, as we mentioned. These guys are not being part of the bailout and the stimulus package that we're releasing. Norm shared that with us yesterday. So again, one to watch this morning. Let's look at some airlines.
So I want to point out that Moody's downgraded the credit ratings on these companies last night. So that's a big chunk of why CCL, RCL are getting hit.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then we do have a CAR here. This is a car company. Avis. All right,
It's Avis.
Yeah, so again, obviously being hit, nobody's probably renting cars and doing any business travel. That's a big chunk of their business. So they are down today 6.5, basically with the overall market. I'm not seeing a great pre-market here neither, guys. Only 101,000 shares trades, just barely making over that 100,000 number we like to see here. But the pre-market, if you look at this, is really you got a huge block trade here happening. Again, not much going on pre-market right now for Avis. Let's look at MGM. MGM has had some wild moves over the last couple of days. We have taken advantage of a few of those. Today they are down 6.3. I like MGM, so I am going to keep an eye on this one, guys. Pre-market's not looking all that great. Hopefully that can get better as more volume comes in. But MGM has been another good one to trade, very similar to CCL. We'll do a few more. Let's look at United Airlines. And then we'll look at American Airlines, see which is the best ones out of the airlines this morning. United down 6% this morning, 113,000 shares traded, so pretty light on the volume. Usually American Airlines does a little heavier on the volume. Let's take a look at what they're doing. Yeah, this is a better pre-market activity, and for the most part, it's because of the volume, guys. You're getting this extra volume here. It's creating a nicer pre-market activity here on the chart. So definitely worth watching American Airlines. More volume, about 550,000 shares traded right now. They are down 5.3. So again, we have a lot in the gap down list here with the markets being down this morning. We'll look at BA and then we'll take it over to the chat and see what you guys are watching this morning. What do you guys like? BA, another great pre-market activity from BA. So we're getting a very nice flow here. Volume very early on here at 7 a.m. You can start to see the nice candlesticks being formed. We have 540,000 shares traded right now, 5.9 down this morning. Now BA has been taking a pretty nasty hit. They had a beautiful bounce up, as many stocks did as well, but this one seems to be making the moves a lot deeper than other stocks. Right, you're getting a bounce up to here. BA has some really wild moves here that are creating some good opportunities. So beautiful pre-market activity, guys. Norm, besides the market obviously in the SPY, anything specific on BA this morning?
I don't believe I've seen anything specific that's new.
Yeah.
We've had some news come out in the last couple of days about some gas leaks having to be fixed and everything else. But as of this morning, I'm not saying any new information.
Yeah. So again, they have, guys, a really good pre-market activity. And again, if you're joining us for the first time, make sure to check class number 2. We talk about what a good pre-market activity is. This is definitely one that has a nice one, some good volume, some really good candlesticks, really good price action. Spread is not bad for the pre-market right now. It's pretty tight, showing about 10 cents or so. So that can be a little bit better, hopefully, at the open. So we'll take a look at BA, guys. It's trading very clean this morning. And then I want to look at last one here, SPCE. We haven't seen this one in a while. The rest we've seen quite a bit on here. Delta Airlines, United, obviously, Uber's been here. Actually, Uber's a good one. We'll take a quick look at that one. Let's look at what SPCE is doing. Now, if you guys remember, SPCE was a beautiful trade breakout out of this area here. Traded very nice, had a couple of days of continuation. Then once the drop came, it has been pretty choppy within this area. It hasn't really traded all that well, and we haven't seen it in our gappers list in some time. But looking at it now, just checking this pre-market activity, well, I'm still not seeing anything great. If you go back and when you have some time and look at the pre-market activity during these days here, it traded so clean and so well in the pre-market. We're not seeing that today. So
take a look over
at that.
Before you get into this too much, take a look at CCL while it's still going on.
CCL, see what's happening here. Whoa. Look at this. Man, this stock has been just something else. And yesterday, too, it popped up like this. It got halted. I remember that. Brian took an amazing trade right off the open. Andrew missed it. I think Andrew hit the hockey and just missed the entry, or he didn't get filled. And yeah, this is incredible CCL is doing here. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
If anybody sees news, I haven't seen it yet, and I don't ever have my squawk turned on for the pre-market show. So let us know if there's news.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on here. Look at the volume. Look at this huge, nice surge here going. Basically went green for a second here. Let's see if it can actually hold this momentum we got going here. All right, let's look at another one I want to look at is Uber, and then we'll give it to you guys and see what you guys have this morning that you like. Uber has Uber's interesting, guys. So you had a nice little drop here. It didn't really, it hasn't really gapped out much this morning. It's been holding some of these levels on here. Good consolidation on the daily. Again, not all that great pre-market activity, but if we can get some strong signals and a breakout out of this level, Uber could be very, very interesting. So for that, I'm going to keep it here as a possible. I want to check out Uber later on. Once the market starts trending in one way or the other, this could be great if it can break out of this area, if we're going to be strong for the day. Again, I know the SPY is down, guys, but we've seen a market start down in red and go green, especially yesterday we had a nice little surge. If we can get something like that, this could be very interesting. Nice level here off the two highs from the last trading days, 28.44. So I'll keep an eye on this one. And Norm, I think you also are in this for a long-term trade, which I hope it's going pretty well this morning. Looks like we got some good activity out of Uber this today. So, all right, guys, that is what we have towards the downside. Let's talk about what you guys have this morning. What do you guys like? Let's take a look here in our chat. All right, so CCL, yeah, it continues to be very active this morning. Very nice. We'll keep an eye on that. That's definitely on our top list. IFRX on the low flow side. Okay, so for the low flow team, let's take a look at IFRX. IFRX. See what we got going on here. So this is pretty much dropping down. A nice gap up all the way up to 930ish or so, but it's giving all of it back right now. I do not have shares for sure on this one. What is the flow also? Let's take a look at that. Where's my little trade ideas float thing? Here it is. IFRX. This is 15 million shares flow. So again, very active, guys. Definitely worth putting on the list. This is one of the low flows that's showing a lot of activity. Great pre-market action. But again, it's just kind of selling down now. I don't like when these stocks pop up like this and just give it all back. It's going to be very difficult for this one to give you a possible breakout. And it's probably going to be difficult to find shares for short on it as well. And not that I will want to short a low flow stock. That's probably one of the most dangerous things you can do there. Your loss could be unlimited in that situation. So we'll put it on here. We'll come back to it again. Right now, it has a great pre-market, great volume. It's still up 57%. I mean, this thing is going from $4 all the way up to $5 at the moment. So it's still up quite a bit. But again, I want to be very careful with that one. All right, someone mentioned let's look at AMD. Of course, let's take a look at our buddy here, AMD. This morning we have a gap down, not anything crazy. We do have great volume. We do have a decent pre-market activity. This could be the one we watch today. I haven't watched personally AMD in some time, but as usual, we're going to have the volume on it. We're going to have some good pre-market activity. How did it trade yesterday? I know probably you're going to have a pop.
You know something's changed if Brian's trading it every day because he hates this stock.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's so interesting. AMD did not get that nice pop that a lot of stocks got. But again, you can see some opportunities happening here. A little bit choppy, then to lost the view up, and it became a beautiful short. So again, AMD, guys, a great stock to watch. If the market starts trending one way or the other, AMD is going to follow it, right? And it could be a nice one because you're going to get the volume, you're going to get the liquidity. So this is the type of stock you want to have on your list as well. Look at the difference in volume of these, what we look at as foreign stocks, right? They're trading 1 million, 2 million a day. AMD does that in almost every candle, at least 1 million shares every candle. So it kind of tells you the type of liquidity and volume you're going to get on this type of stock. This is the stuff you want to be watching. All right, let's see what else we have, guys. Let's take a look at M. I know Macy's is having a really, really hard time. At the moment, they are down 5.9. There's a lot of negative news behind it. With they just haven't been doing well. Before this, they were just not doing well overall, and obviously this is making things matters a lot worse. Pre-market's not looking all that great, but Macy's tends to have this horrible pre-market activity. Wow, remember Macy's at 17. Look at this, 461. They're in for some trouble. So again, not the best pre-market activity right now, guys. They do have a lot of negative news behind it, but for this reason, I'm not going to add it on there on my list. It could be a great possible. I'm going to throw it here next to Uber, and we can definitely take a look at it later as well. MU, let's see what MU is doing. Great volume, 192. Not as clean as pre-market activity as we're getting out of AMD, so I prefer to watch AMD. But again, MU does trade good. Let's see what it did yesterday. Very similar to what AMD did as well. Nice drop down here around 12 o'clock, losing the VWAP and trading very nice. It's beautiful in downtrend. So again, but you can get this out of AMD as well. So either one you watch with the type of action we're getting now, you're going to be okay with. Let's take a look at Microsoft, and then we'll look over on YouTube, see what you guys have this morning. Microsoft is down 2.6. Again, you can add this on here as well, guys. Again, we have AMD, we have Microsoft, we have MU. They're all very similar. I don't think there's any significant or isolated news to these different companies, so you can watch either one and just see if the market's going to trend one way or the other. These could all be good stocks to watch. Again, AMD and MU are really good. I prefer to watch those. I think they trade just a slightly bit cleaner than Microsoft. But if you like Microsoft, by all means, keep Microsoft on your list. All right, let's see here. We have Microsoft. We have we'll do Apple, and then we'll get to a list over here. So Apple this morning, again, very, very similar to what these companies, as I mentioned, AMD, MU, Apple, Nvidia, all of these you can keep on your list. Whatever one you prefer out of those type of companies, you can watch with no problem. All right, let's take a look at what we have on YouTube. So RCL, we looked at earlier. So what I don't like, RCL is great. Also got a nice pop here, but I think CCL is the one to really watch. I think this is the one that really gets the volume, really reacts nicely. So I think this is what I'm going to keep an eye on. I don't want to watch 3 different cruise lines. I think CCL will be the one that I can watch this morning. Now, if you like RCL and you like this price action and price target a little bit better, you can also watch this one. No worries at all. Oh, there's the big man. So here we have Ross is giving us the entire watch list here. So I'm just gonna pick a few of these that we haven't looked at yet. SQ. All right, so SQ this morning, this is down 5%. Not the greatest pre-market activity. We'll take a closer look at it. SQ tends to be slightly different than AMD, Microsoft, and MU. It tends to do its own little thing a little bit. It has a different type of price action. This is one of Brian's favorite stocks to trade. Man, I remember a year ago or a year and a half, we were killing this stock every single day. It was just amazing to trade. Now I say we, that was actually more Brian because I had a hard time trading this stock, but in the chat room, a lot of people took a great opportunity on this one. Instead of SQ, we're trading AMD and MU. So let's keep SQ on here. Let's see if it can get any better. Let's take a look at JD. Another one. I do like to trade JD. I prefer to trade JD obviously instead of SQ. But JD right now really low volume, guys. And man, look at the choppiness the last couple of days. Hasn't really done much anything. Even with the drop of the market, JD just seems to just be chopping sideways here. Man, it's a horrible daily. So we will skip on this one. Let's take a look at WFC. We got another 5 more minutes before we get to announcements. WFC this morning, guys. I'm not seeing a whole lot here. Again, probably following what Hsbc is doing. This is the one with the big news today, right? They cut dividends. They're not going to give them out. And obviously, that's going to hurt investors quite a bit here. They're down huge, 9.2. So if you're going to watch a banking stock, this is a foreign one. But if you're going to be watching one, this will be probably the one to watch. WFC is down a bit here. It's got obviously way better pre-market activity than HSBC is going to have, and just because they're not foreign, they're down 5%. You could definitely keep this on your list, but again, I think there's going to be a lot of other stocks that have more volume and trade a little bit cleaner. These banking units are not all that clean when it comes to price action activity. Bank of America, let's take a look at what they're doing. Whoops, that's not it. BAC. Another banking stock, guys, as well. Very similar to what WFC is doing. I do like trading Bank of America out of all of them. I think this seems to be the cleanest one. But again, I like these when they have actual news. If they're just following the SPY, there's tons of other stuff that's going to trade a lot better and cleaner. And that's just my concern when it comes to these banking stocks. All right, let's take a look at a few more, guys. Let's take a look at Roku, one of our favorite ones that we trade quite often. Roku has actually a nice little bounce here off at 83.35. We do have a nice drop of down 3% this morning. But Roku, although this pre-market activity seems very light at the moment, Roku is one that can really turn the engines on. We've seen that before in the past. We actually saw that a couple of days ago where it wasn't doing much and it became a beautiful pop. I think Norm had it on his watch list. That made me put it on my watch list, and it traded very clean that day. So we'll definitely keep an eye on Roku, see if it gets any better. We'll throw it down here as possible. All right, guys, let's wrap it up there for the stocks we're watching. Again, you guys are throwing out a lot of great stocks. Let's look at EA. Let's look at Grub really quick. EA this morning just got one drop here, one huge order, 216,000 shares traded, creating this nice block trade here. So again, that's what's causing the movement here. Overall, besides this one pop, I'm not seeing anything else happening in the pre-market. If this gets any better, we can definitely take a look at it. Not sure if there's any news behind it or somebody just shifting their position a bit here. Let's look at Grub this morning. What's going on with them? These guys do not have much activity right now. Pretty light at the moment. All right, guys, let's head over to announcements. We'll come back and we'll do some support and resistance on here on these levels. GM, just quickly looking at that one. That one's not doing all that much right now. They are down 5%. Again, pretty much following whatever the market is doing. All right, so I think Norm's son is going to do the pre-market for us today.
Yeah, guys. So I apologize for the distraction, but as those of you that have been with us for a little while know that on Wednesdays, now that everybody's working from home, my wife has a call at the exact same time we do the pre-market show that she's got to be on. So my mother-in-law is here, but my son wanted to see me, so because he's usually in here, and I told him he could come sit in my lap for a little bit. Anyway. So thank you for bearing with me on that. So, guys, we've started doing the markets close on Wall Street show. That's at 3:30 to 4:15. 3:30 to 4:15. I thought it was only Mondays and Fridays, but since everybody's at home and has nothing else to do, they've been doing it just about every day now. So tune into YouTube. If you're in the room, it's just a simulcast. But those of you watching on YouTube, if you're free between that time, you are welcome to join us. It's Brian and Peter most of the time, but we also have Mike that has been joining in as well. Hey, hang on just a second, buddy. Let me get through this real quick. All right, guys, I'm really excited to do this one. I will be moderating this tonight. This is at a special time, our success webinar with Stephen Goldstein, who is a performance coach. He was a trader, a professional trader in the UK for over 20 years. 2009, he changed over and works as a performance coach and trading coach these days. So he's got a great podcast. We'll be talking to him about managing yourself in extreme market conditions. Then next week's going to be Peter talking about trading using his lightning bolt pattern. That'll be at the normal 8 p.m. time. Daddy. Yeah, buddy. Hang on just a second, okay? And then next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m., we're going to have our own in-house psychologist, Dr. Jonathan Katz. He's going to be talking about how to improve on the fear of taking a trade. Yeah, D Miles, if you guys haven't seen it, like D Miles said, if you just Google Alpha Mind one word podcast, you can find Goldstein's podcast, and there is an awesome one about meditation and mindfulness with a former Navy SEAL commander. He's 3. Let's see here, guys. If you're watching us in the room and haven't, if you're that has the wrong code on it. If you're watching us on YouTube, or if you'd like to, we still have the March promo code. You can use the promo code St. Patrick's and get 40% off a lifetime membership. That's the one time, whether you choose to have it with DAS or not. And then if you're watching us on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, you can do so at a discount. Use the promo code PREMARKET24, and you will get access to our onboarding class and everything else. So that's what we got. It's Tradecraft. The podcast is the one before last. It's what's his name? I can't remember. But I think there's one before it. It's the next to last one. Anyway, that's what I got. I'm going to sign off, Carlos. I'll hop back on if he decides to go hang out with his mother-in-law.
Yep, you got it, man. Thank you for that. No, I appreciate it. All right, guys, let's go through this list here and see what we like this morning. Again, we have a lot on here. We didn't get through everything on here, but you can start looking at some of these that you might like that you have traded before in the past. United Airlines, I know a lot of you guys took some trades there yesterday. You have JP Morgan, some more banking stocks this morning, gapping down a little bit. LB is on there. Actually, let's take a quick look at LB, see what's happening in that area. LB is a couple of, actually looks like one huge block trade is causing it to show up in this gappers list, but not really much going on in regards to pre-market activities. Pretty light, so nothing happening there. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. CCL this morning, again, just the crazy pop here around 8:45 this morning. Look at the volume coming in. We actually went green, and let's see if it can actually hold it. So this is starting to build a nice pre-market activity, some really good volume. 2.2 this morning, million shares traded. So again, CCL, guys, I cannot tell you how many times we have traded CCL, me personally, in the last couple of days. Again, it's been giving us some really good, clean trading, whether it's to the upside on a quick bounce or towards the downside. It has been pretty clean to trade. So looking forward to having this one on the list. We'll definitely keep that one. MGM this morning, it has a pretty light pre-market activity. It's got some volume on it. 407 down 4.7, 215,000 shares traded. Again, we'll keep an eye on this one. Let's see what it does. Again, the last couple of days has been pretty much flat, but I want to keep an eye on it just to see what we're going to get out of it today. Here's American Airlines. This is probably the one airline to watch. It has great volume. We'll keep that one. BA looks good. AMD, I want to keep this one. Great activity, beautiful pre-market action as well as BA. Microsoft this morning might be worth watching. Also got some movement here as well. And Askew, not doing all that much. Pretty choppy on the pre-market, but I do like the daily as well. Has some opportunities to get down here if we're going to be weak for the day. Then we got some great possibles over here that we might get to in regards to levels. There, guys, Peter has just posted the entire watch list. So if you are in our chat room, you can head on over to the second screen where it says Peter on the top right, and you can look at the entire watch list that we have. If you want to see everything else that's on here, obviously my screen is a little tight, so I cannot show you everything that we have on our gappers list here. All right, let's head down over to CCL. Let's make some levels here. So CCL this morning, we're stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. We just did a beautiful pop here, new pre-market high above the previous day close. But this here is not going to be as important as the previous day close. So I'm just going to keep the previous day close on here right now. And actually, even a better pre-market high high is going to be where the price action marked this at 1287. We're going to mark that down. The reason for that is you have several action here happening in the pre-market around that 1285 number, so we'll keep that on there, see if we can go back and retest that and try the previous day close. Again, not sure what news broke out there, but obviously something changed the direction of CCL this morning. And then, guys, really, as far as levels, you really only need to add this one all the way up here. You have one level at 1705. If we can break out of this area, again, that's a very strong move. I don't think we're going to break out of that given this market and how weak it has been. And then towards the bottom, you do have this level here at 861. Other than that, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days got you covered. Previous day close right on here. Let's keep a close eye on CCL, see what happens next out of this great movement we're getting out of here. So MGM, guys, one of my possibles, might not make my final list, but let's see how it gets going this morning if we're able to get some good pre-market activity action out of it. Our low of our pre-market is sitting at 11 bucks right on here, so we'll mark that down. Let's see if we can go back and retest that. And our high is sitting at 1140, which will be right up here. 1140, that's our high of our pre-market. So pretty much stuck between the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days at the moment. Previous day closed up around 1180, so we'll keep an eye on that. If we can break out of this area one way or the other, it could possibly be a good trade. So towards the bottom, guys, if we break our low from the last 2 trading days, it will be 985 will be the level we'll hit. Towards the top side, if we're able to break out of the highs from the last 2 trading days, 1296 will be an area we like to get into. So let's see what happens here, guys. Let's see if we're going to test this 11 one more time, and if we're going to hold that for MGM. American Airlines got a better, nice pre-market activity here. We got some really good action going. Great volume, 742,000 at the moment. Our pre-market low sitting at 11. Let's change this here. Pre-market low sitting at 1126, so let's mark that down. Below that, we have a beautiful base here around 10 bucks. 10 bucks has shown some really good support on here with the drop we have had with American Airlines. Then we got a nice little pop over the last couple of days, and we're back down towards the kind of the midpoint of this drop here on 10 bucks. So let's see what it does here. Towards the top, the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Previous day close on here. This 1241, we probably could delete this. Probably was an old level we had here. So let's remove that one. Your previous day close and your lows from the last 2 trading days are going to be more important than the actual 1241 that we had. That's probably a pre-market high from yesterday or the day before. So some good levels here on American Airlines. Some really good volume, really nice pre-market action. Definitely looking forward to see what that's going to do at the open. Let's take a look at BA. Also, BA has let's zoom out here a little bit. I want to show you this great pre-market activity on BA. So usually BA is a type of stock that you don't get a great pre-market activity. You don't get this type of nice flow that we're seeing here. This is a beautiful thing here. So let's get some levels for it. 138 is the low of the pre-market. Above that, your high of your pre-market sitting at 145. 48 all the way right up here, 145, 48 or so. Right there. Again, so that's your pre-market high at the moment, 145. Oh, no, I'm off. Hold on a second. A little bit higher than that. Almost a couple of cents. Here we go. 145.55. That's your pre-market high. Above that, previous day close. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days above the previous day close got you covered as well. So towards the bottom, guys, if we go back and retest this 138 and we lose that, although right now it looks like it's looking really, really strong, trying to get towards the high of the pre-market, hopefully. If we lose that, we have a nice level all the way down here at 128. Again, that's a stretch. I don't think we'll get there without making a few pit stops at 135, 130. But again, looking pretty strong here. Nice little bounce this morning off this 138 level. Let's look at AMD. AMD this morning, again, great pre-market activity. So it looks like everything's kind of finding a little bottom in this pre-market and going north. We'll take a look at what the SPY is doing in a second. Low of the pre-market here, 43.76. A nice movement here on AMD, heading higher. Our high of our pre-market is at around 44.82, so we'll mark that down. And then above that, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, you'll cover all the way to 48.50 with plenty of levels in here. Now towards the bottom is a little more interesting. If we lose this 43.78, you can see some of the choppiness here, consolidation over the last couple of days when we had this drop. 42.31 is going to be a nice area of resistance. We have tested 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 3 are more significant levels here around 42.31. If we can lose this 42.78, not looking like it wants to do that at the moment. At least a nice little pop here towards the north side this morning. So here's Microsoft, guys. So Microsoft, very similar situation, guys. We're getting into a nice little pop hopefully here in Microsoft. The low of the pre-market is sitting at a 152. All right, on the dot, we'll mark that there. Below that, you have your lows from the last from the 2 trading days ago, and then below that, again, very similar to AMD. So this is why you can either watch Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia, Apple. They're all going to have this very similar situation unless they have their own significant news, which a lot of companies during this time do not really have. They're just moving with the market. They're going to be very similar. Pick the one that best fits your criteria. It could be whether the price action is a little bit cleaner on that stock, or whether you like to trade a higher price stock and get a bigger move by taking less shares. Either way, it all comes out the same. You just got to do what's more comfortable for you, that you can do on a consistent basis. So here we have Microsoft. I'm probably going to keep AMD instead of Microsoft, but we got some good levels on this as well. Here's Askew. So Askew still not doing all that much in the pre-market. We'll do some levels for it, but I might drop this one off and keep something like a Roku or Uber for a possible here. Our low of our pre-market here is sitting at 49. 51. I'm sorry, yeah, 49.51. We'll keep that on there, and then below that we do have a couple of levels here at 46.22 that we can mark down. Towards the top, guys, previous day close, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days got you covered. Let's see what Askew is going to do in a couple of minutes. Now let's look at some possibles. So here's Roku. Now Roku, I know, guys, is very light, but you know what? I'm probably going to remove Microsoft from my list, and I'm going to keep Roku, because Roku is one of those stocks, as I mentioned before, that can be very explosive. And right now they're getting a little bit of a bounce here off this 83.36. So I'm going to put that pre-market low right on there. That's a beautiful level. We have tested it right to the penny before and took off nicely from that area. So I'm going to keep that on there. That pre-market low is going to be a good one. If we head towards the bottom, guys, if we lose that level, the next significant level that I see here is going to be that $80 mark. We do have an area of resistance happening there. Not much support. These 2 days are kind of consolidating around that price range, but not really any much support besides this 1 day here hitting that resistance. Then towards the top, guys, highs and lows, as you're going to see with a lot of these stocks that were trading a little bit higher for the last couple of days, creating the highs and lows, and the previous day closed slightly above the price action. You don't need to add any more in there. Don't make things a little more congested or complicated than what they need to be. So I like Roku, guys. Pre-market is a little bit lighter than what we've seen on these other companies we're watching here, but again, this one could be very explosive if it's given the opportunity. Here's Uber. This could be a great possible for me. I think Uber has plenty of levels, and do not need to add any more on here, guys. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days got you covered. You got some moving averages coming in here as well, right at the price level where it's at now. So again, don't need to add any more there. Macy's is a possible, getting a little bit of a bounce here. Macy's again taking some really nice hits here. Has bad news on the retail side. Aside from the market overall, there's just have not been doing pretty well. So low of the pre-market 452. Trying to get a little bounce going here to get towards that previous day close. Also, your high of the pre-market pretty much on that previous day close at 490.91. Here's EA. So EA had just one big drop. I kept it on here to see if there's going to be any type of continuation out of this, but I have not seen anything else. So for that reason, I'm going to even take it out of our possible here this morning. No need to watch that if we're not going to get anything going there. Now let's go look at our low flow stocks, see what we have moving this morning. We have IFRX starting to putting a little bit of a bounce here, a pre-market low sitting at 571. Again, this is still up 63%, even after giving all this back. Look at the pre-market activity right now. We kind of have a double top here, and then just giving everything back, and we're still up 63%. So again, just very careful with this one, guys. It is a low flow stock. You want to be very cautious with this type of stock and trading it. We have another level right where the price action is at based on this date, 615. Right on here, and then after that there's no more recent levels above this one here. So what you're going to do here is you can go into your pre-market and start looking at areas where it's been tested several times. Obviously this one here, 730, could be a good one. You do have clearly 779. You can see several levels there being tested. We have another one here as well in the pre-market at 824. This was a somewhat of a base over the last couple of hours in the morning. You can see that there, and then you obviously got your pre-market high all the way up to 928 this morning. You do have some areas in here as well you can mark down where you have some slight consolidation happening around 876. You can see it banging its head above that until it broke out and came back to that level one more time. So again, Just be very, very careful with this stock here, guys. Towards the bottom side, if you lose that 572, you do have 546 in this area here. SEMI, let's see what that is up to. Again, also popped up, dropped down. Very similar situation with IFRX. Again, did great, but it's still up quite a bit, 27%. But just be cautious with this level. Now, we do have some price history here going back into September. We do have a level here at 733. We have the price action is sitting right at a level 655. You can see that right on here. Several days of support and resistance. And below that, you have some more levels down here around 637. You can mark that as well. However, pre-market is sitting all the way up at 839, so we can put that on there also. Any more history on this, or this is yeah, we got tons of history on this one. So this is not a stock that's a stranger to double digits here. We do have another nice little spike here around 793. So again, guys, cautious with these two. They are very active this morning. Got some really good volume. I mean, IFRX has 3.4 million shares traded, and CEMI has 1 million shares traded. So again, just be very careful with these type of stocks today. All right, so that is what we have. Norm, anything you like this morning besides what we have on our list already? Either Norm probably can hear me or he's on mute. We'll give him a second.
Oh, yeah, Tesla, bud.
Oh, here we go. All right, Tesla.
I like Tesla.
Yep.
Microsoft had a good day yesterday, but I don't know if I'm going to reach that deep into the hopper. What else did I have here?
Tesla's
other
active.
than what you've mentioned. I think that's about it. I like Boeing, Tesla, CCL.
Yeah, I think we got a
Roku looks interesting. I don't know if you've looked at it. It doesn't have a ton of volume, but a lot of times it doesn't in the pre-market.
Yeah, yep. That's exactly what I mentioned. And this is the one of the stock that could be the sleeper today, man. This thing could be very, very explosive. We've seen it start off like this and take off pretty nice. So we know it has the potential to do something great here. I definitely have it on my list. Not, again, pretty light right now, but we'll definitely see what we can get out of that. And as you mentioned, BA, also good pre-market activity. I have this one on here as well. Has been really good to trade over the last couple of days. Has been trading very clean. Even the price action at this level, when it was trading higher, $300 and plus, the price action was a little bit more difficult. I think with the increase in volume, obviously has a lot to do with it, right? The more volume you get, the cleaner a stock is going to trade. The price action now is very, very clean on BA. So definitely changes things. BA was a stock that we normally would not touch at this area, but now with this type of price action we're getting so clean and so smooth, definitely worth keeping on our list. I think we can get some good opportunities out of it. All right, folks, that is what we have. 9:16 Eastern time. A few minutes into the market open. Next is going to be Andrew coming on and going over his watch list. Brian kind of breaking down what he likes this morning as well, and the rest of the moderators throwing on their watch list in our announcement tab here so we can see what everybody else is looking at this morning. So guys on YouTube, take care. I hope you have an amazing trading day. Trade safe, and we will see you again this afternoon at 4:15. Peter comes on with Brian, or either
4:30.
4:30. Okay, 4:30. He comes on.
No, it's 3:30 to 4:15.
Oh, 3:30 to 4:15.
3:30.
Yes, 3:30. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. If you definitely join us for that, we'd love to see you there.
And don't forget tonight, Stephen Goldstein Success Webinar. I will be hosting it with him, and we'll be streaming that live on YouTube. I believe the link and it's already been there. It's already set there, so you can set a reminder for it on YouTube if you'd like. It is at 6 p.m., not 8 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. Hope to see you guys there.
Excellent. Take care, guys. Trade safe.
Trade safe.